Welcome, Carlos, to another episode with you for the No Excuses, No Bullshit podcast. How is everything going, man?
Good.
Awesome.
It's cold.
Cold?
And yeah, just we were just talking offline, just grinding,
Yeah.
The grind is real.
Yeah, man. Like it's getting busier and busier. The deeper
Like
we
it's
are
getting
in the grind, man.
busier. Yeah, more projects to do and more difficult decisions to make. More conscious about sleep and recovery, because everything is so tight, so many commitments you have, so you have to really make sure you don't mess with your sleep, because you mess with your sleep, then the rest of the day is like, okay, now I have to figure out how I'm going to take a nap in the day,
How much,
So
how many hours do you get at the moment?
about six.
About six, yeah. Well,
Yeah, about
I'm,
6 hours.
yeah, six
What about
hours.
you?
I'm at 6.5 at the moment. Just check the stats. But
Whoa.
during the week, it's also usually around six, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, like you read
Six and a
all
half.
the tweet you yeah 6.5. You read all the tweets and on X and everybody's telling you to sleep 8 hours, and I'm questioning myself.
Yeah,
How should I do all the projects at the moment with like I have
yeah.
no time. I need that 1.5 hours. Like
You need it, yeah, especially like for just administrative things that don't
yeah,
necessarily take a lot of brain power, but you can knock out in
yes,
an hour and a half, especially early morning when you're fresh.
yeah.
And but yeah, I mean, people say 6 to 8 hours. You take any naps in the day, like 15-minute naps or anything
I
like
can.
that?
I
Okay.
can. I try to, and I really try to practice because this is a
Yeah,
superpower for me. If I could just like say, okay, I'm gonna take a nap like 10 to 20 minutes, that would be a superpower. But the thing is, you also need some time to practice that one, like, and I
yeah,
always postponing it. So yeah, but I
yeah.
maybe I will have some time in Q3. We
To
will
sleep, yeah. So
see.
what I do, just really quick, what I do is I try to practice on meditating, like deep breaths,
Mhm.
and that helps me actually fall asleep, like deep sleep. It doesn't happen all the time, but when it happens, it's like I get these 10, 15 minutes of deep REM sleep. And what I do is I just do deep breaths, and instead of like sitting down in a meditative pose, I'll lie down on my bed and focus on my breathing, on my nose tip here, like as the breath is leaving, I feel like I just focus on one point.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then see if
but the,
that works, because the mind is racing all the time, right? So it's hard in the middle of the day, but
but the thing is, like, how do you do that when you had a lot of coffee? Like that's a good question, I think.
okay. Yeah, I would say that would be more difficult.
Yeah.
So I'll have coffee, I'll have like a pre-workout, and then I'll have coffee around 8 or something, and then I'll do my nap around like 1, maybe 12:30.
Mhm.
But if I'm having a lot of caffeine in the morning, that it's not gonna.
It's not gonna work. Yeah, maybe that's
Do you take shots
maybe
or?
that's the issue, man. Like, no, I'm not
Yeah,
drinking coffee, but I have those coffee supplement things, like I'm just,
yeah,
and that's even more difficult to measure, like you just don't, you can take two, you can take two of them, and
yeah,
it feels like nothing, but it's
yeah.
actually a lot, and I need to take care of that. I think also in
Yeah,
2024 because my caffeine intake is quite high with
it's
all
quite high.
yeah, with also with the pre-workout and stuff.
Yeah,
The energy you get from pre-workout, man, it
the
hits
pre-workout
different. Yeah,
lasts. Yeah,
man.
I drink that first thing in the morning, and I'm
Me
ready to
too.
go, man.
Me too.
Yeah, and it's like next to my bedside, and it wakes me up. I don't take the crazy stuff because there's some crazy stuff out there it's not clean. But it makes you crazy. Like I've heard stories of people, they're driving and they get into road rages because their heart, their
Wow.
heart is beating so fast. But yeah, I don't need that because I'm not trying to do like crazy weight, crazy PRs. I'm trying to wake up and be effective. I mean, if you're trying to do PRs in terms of maybe weightlifting or sprints,
Mhm.
maybe, I'm not doing that though.
No, that's for mine is also a normal one. Like it's not something crazy. And also
Yeah,
the restrictions on the European market are quite tight.
I
So
know. You
yeah,
guys
so
and regulating the
yes.
food industry
So
is really good. Yeah, we need a
no,
little bit more of that here for
well,
sure.
there's good and bad sides always. Well,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, the let's get to the today's topic.
yeah,
Yeah, we said we want to talk about emotional intelligence. And the thing
yeah,
is, I think you're the pro in this topic, so maybe you can give a short intro what's your what you think is emotional intelligence.
yeah. So
Yeah.
emotional intelligence is a really big topic,
Mm,
but basically it's your ability to manage your thoughts and emotions.
mm,
That's what it is. That's
yeah.
the first part of emotional intelligence. And then the second part is being able to understand other people, like other people's emotions. And like the second part is more about navigating social relationships, like social intelligence,
Mm,
being able to have good relationships with people, understand where they're coming from, understand their emotions, and being having effective relationships essentially, so that's emotional intelligence in a nutshell.
yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
um, like one question I have. I mean, we know what emotional intelligence is,
yeah,
but like there are the issue I think or the most difficult thing, like I have read those books and stuff, and I know
yeah,
what to do, and then I'm in the crazy situation and a crazy conversation, and like you what are you doing if you feel offended? Like just imagine two people in a discussion try to offend you, and
yeah,
like what are you going to do? Like staying
yeah.
calm, yeah, well, we know we should stay calm, but
It's not easy. I mean,
yeah.
there's so many strategies. It depends on the situation. Like you're talking about a situation where something happens like in the moment. There's strategies you can implement before, an experience or before an event happens. Strategies you can implement like when you're in the moment in the experience, and then strategies post after, Sometimes you have these experiences like you're mentioning, okay, you're having a difficult conversation and somebody's judging you or somebody's offending you, right? So it takes a lot of practice, and it's not easy. It's easy to say, oh, just stay calm and be zen, and you know, but one of the things that we deal with everybody deals with on a regular basis, you, me, athletes, professional athletes, celebrities, politicians, whatever, is this fear of people's opinions.
Oh yes, we
Sometimes it's
talked about
called FOPO. Yeah,
yeah, we
FOPO.
talked about that. We talked about
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And one of the first things we have to really embed in our brain is this concept that we need to focus on only the things we can control. At the end of the day, we can't control how people are going to think, what people are going to say, how people are going to react.
it.
I've had situations where, I've been caught off guard working with people. My job is very, everybody thinks they're hot shit, Like it's different, I guess, depends on the place you're in, whatever country. But in my line of work, everybody thinks they're hot shit. They're lawyers, whatever. And sometimes they'll just say things, they're offending, or they want to control you or whatever. I mean, the first thing I try to remember is like, okay, I can't control this guy. I can only control myself, my actions, etc. So, and then, and it's also like a thing of being able to think on your feet, I think, you know. But if you're saying like you're feeling offended and all that, I would go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Like one of the things I do is I journal. Like I'll have a bad day, and then I'll get my journal and I'll just start writing, man, trying to figure out, okay, because emotional intelligence is about figuring out what you're feeling, like
Yeah, and
understanding your emotions.
I think it's about reflection, right? So
Yeah,
I also think that, so what I do is, like, if I have been in such a situation, like right after, I, as you do in your journal, I write down what happened, like
yeah,
why did I felt, why did I even feel offended? That's the issue. That's the real issue.
yeah,
You should
yeah,
be very neutral, like, and not expect that other people, like, the other people want you something bad, like that's not the point. That's nothing you should expect. And another hack I found out for myself is really having, if I know I'm gonna be in a difficult conversation, I have a list, like a mantra or stuff like, and I write it, like I read it, and there are some points in there, and those points are the result of past conversations that went bad.
yes,
And this reminds me to, like, just stay calm. And still, it's not working all the time. It's not working. But if it happens again, I'm, as you say, I'm going back to the drawing board. That's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love that strategy, you use the list, because that's like that's actually a strategy that high performers use, is a mantra or a performance state. They call it different ways, performance state ritual. So essentially you want to get into the right mindset, you want to have the right thoughts and be in the right physiological, like you want your physiology to be right, your breath, your heart rate, you don't want to be, you want to control your heart rate. If you're feeling nervous right before a difficult thing, you want to control your heart rate. And one of the ways to do that is to have the right thought in your mind. And like you said, a good way to do that is to think about previous experiences you've had. So you tell yourself, Mitch, yeah, I got this. I've done this before. It's not the first time I've done this. And visualization as well, like staying positive that this is going to be good. This is going to have a good outcome, even though it's going to be a difficult thing to do. And another thing I like to do is, again, this is hard and it takes practice, right? Everything takes practice, is because when people criticize you, you have to see if it's actually feedback, like, so learning to separate the messenger from the message. Like, who the hell is this guy? Should I even pay attention to him? If he's not in my circle of friends or circle of people I trust feedback from, then I don't give a shit what you say,
Yes.
So that's another thing. Like, I call it round table, other people call it like circle, whatever. Just have like a list of people you respect who are who are in the trenches, who are grinding just like you, and who are actually speaking from a place of like, yeah, I'm not just talking, I'm doing, And so it could be a friend, it could be family, somebody who can be honest with you and doesn't bullshit you and say, oh yeah, you're doing fine, because family kind of do that, or your best friends, they tend to do that. So maybe your best friend is not the best person to be in your circle. Maybe they're not going to give you they're not going to be honest with you, But
Yeah.
the journaling is good because you have to separate those. Okay, what thoughts
Isolate. Yeah.
to the emotion, right?
And that's also a thing, that helped me massively to, at first, like, really see what the other people are saying as a feedback. And when you enter the whole self-improvement stuff, like the Anisha would say, or the space, self-improvement space, you hear that word growth mindset, right? And so when I dived into that word, I really learned to see everything as a feedback, to improve, to further improve. Honestly, like, as soon as you start doing that, that's also way easier to take
Yeah,
that feedback.
yeah. That's really important, growth mindset, because it's and you have to remind yourself, you know, like the brain is like a computer processor. You have to almost like have it in a piece of paper or put it on your schedule or whatever before you go into something that's difficult. You have to be prepared to inject some growth mindset knowledge into your brain, because if you fail, you have to remember, okay, failure is not failure, it's information. It means I'm getting better. It means I have to try, you know. And if you're going towards a goal and you don't get that goal, okay, now it's time for the growth mindset. Success is not about the end result. It's about the journey. It's about challenging yourself. It's about learning, right? That's the growth mindset. And
no matter if, Carlos, no matter, like, just one more thing.
Yeah.
No matter if it's feedback from a person, or, as you said, like failing to hit that milestone, like that's all feedback, and you just said it perfectly. But regarding the feedback, like you receive online, for example, we know that there is a lot of hate, and the only comments I receive on TikTok, for example, are mostly some bad ones. But what I do is, like, I'm not engaging with those conversations. I just tell them, have a nice 2024 and enjoy. Get the best out of it. Like, that's not feedback, what they are writing there.
No, it's not feedback.
No, like that's most of the times that's not feedback, you know, like they're just putting out some hate. There's a big difference between feedback and feedback.
Right.
You know, like, and that's what you said, like,
you
need to make a distinction there.
You need to see, like, okay, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
Like, if he's giving you advice about, oh, the lighting is bad, okay, like, who the hell are you? Like, well, let me see your credentials. Are you like legit, like, you know?
No,
I've had some things where people post stuff on my thing, and they are actually, I'm doing, like, I'll post an announcement, and there's somebody who actually responds and says, oh, you're not supposed to do it this way, or something like that, or anything, you know? And I'm like, who are you? I mean, and you have to. It's hard because you have to balance, you know, engaging with your audience, but also being able to ignore the hate, you know. But that's just part of the game.
I mean, Carlos, when I'm talking about hate, I'm talking about bad stuff. Like, if somebody would just drop a comment and say, "Hey, you can improve something in the light on the lightning." Like on the light. I mean, that's good for me, you know, like that's valuable feedback. Depending.
I mean, I'm just talking about generally, like, again, it goes back to like, who is the messenger and what's the message, you know? Because there's so much advice out there, and you don't really know, like, you have to have a filter to listen, because there's so many strategies, there's so many things, there's so many people who tell you XYZ. You have to just stay on one path, because it's then you start getting into fear of missing out, and you're like looking this way, you're looking that way. You have to stay focused, you know. So it's a little bit of that as well.
There's a fine line between.
Yeah, for sure.
And
so we talked about your strategies. I love the list that you talked about, and the journaling. These two are super powerful, in my opinion. People have to see what works for them, but these, for me, I use them as well. Especially, they're just simple techniques, but you know what, Mitch? Foundation simple beats fancy.
Yes. And I mean, the thing with the mantra, or with the list, that's the thing I do before the meeting, but or before the conversation. But if that doesn't help and the conversation goes wrong, what helps me is the gym, honestly. Like, if I'm having a heavy pump, or I'm gonna do a cold plunge, like, I have no time to think about the conversation anymore, because I'm working my ass off in the gym, you know, like, that's it. So this
Yeah.
also helps me. And I mean, like what it feels like to have a really good workout. And
Yeah.
this gives you back some clear thoughts, some clear mind, I would say.
Yeah. Definitely, man. And sometimes it's hard to detach yourself because you're in this bubble and you're thinking, but you have to force yourself and go. Don't make. And it's much easier to do when you have this momentum. You've been doing this for like I think you're in 100 day 105 or something. When you
Yeah.
have this momentum of wins, it's even when you're tired, it's very difficult to not do it and say, "Oh, I'm tired." Compared to somebody who just started like 3 weeks ago, they'll use fatigue as an excuse to not do it. But when you have this momentum, that's why it's so important to manage your expectations in the beginning and understand that the first several weeks are going to be very bumpy, very difficult. Your mind is going through a lot. Your mind is fighting you constantly, but you have to get through that. You have to build that momentum. And it's going to be much easier to not make excuses with yourself. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I only slept 5 hours. Like, no, like you're still going to do it, even if you slept 5 hours or whatever. I don't know where I was getting with this. I think it was about your, the pump. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that's number one, man. Movement
yeah.
clears your thoughts. Going for a walk, going for a pump, cold plunge, running, you
And
know?
as you said, like I just passed the 100 days mark. I mean, I did stuff before that too, but to that extent, that's new also to me. And I don't even know what exhaustion or tiredness means. I really like
Yeah,
eliminated it. I mean, like that's such a new feeling to me because even when I'm so tired and exhausted, I still keep going. There's no way around that I will skip any of the things
yeah,
I
yeah,
promised to myself. Like
yeah.
this would be disastrous to me, like just quitting now. Like
It's
it's
almost
not
like
gonna happen.
this, the way I like to put it is almost like an anxiety that I feel if I was to miss
Yes.
it because I'm not following my plan.
Mhm. But
And
it's a
especially for
positive
people.
one for me. That's the positive one for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
A positive anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you need these emotions, we always think of like fear and anxiety as bad emotions, but they're not bad emotions. They're only bad if you let them control your
Mhm.
mind. But if you use them in a positive way to get what you want. Yeah, like anxiety. You use it correctly, use it to focus, use it to make sure you're doing the right things.
Let it fuel your fire. That's the point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, man.
I need to watch the clock already, man. We just hopping from one topic to another. I mean, it's always awesome, man. Like I really love it. And that was way too long that we hopped into the next session. So maybe we can do already the next one in 2 weeks or so. Let's check our calendars after the
Yeah,
call. Yeah, what's
yeah,
up?
we'll check out the schedule. Yeah, it was awesome, man. Awesome as always.
As always, man. Have a nice day and see you soon, Carlos.
See you soon, man.
Bye.